Hello, this is Yasin speaking for the individual part of the exam. The first question is, which challenges do you think that a user will experience when they use a cloud provider? One of the first things you need to do when using a cloud provider is set up your subscription that suits your particular needs. In our case, we set up a subscription for student accounts, and we also have a free trial version for 1 month just in case. It's important that you set up the right subscription, and so you don't have any bills that come in later that could be surprising. This next thing is to set up your DevOps environment. I will show you here. This is our organization where you can see our overview. This is the dashboard. Here you can see the boards and all of our available workflow is here. The next thing is learning how to use the portal. That could be quite tricky since you have a tons of different resources available, and the challenge is to figure out which one is the correct one to use. Here we needed to do a lot of learning and exploring to find the correct one. And another thing was also that we needed to get familiar with the interface. For example, here you have all of the resources that we made for this project. We did not use all of them, but we have a lot we made for testing and learning how to use it. And the last problem or challenge that a user might have with using a cloud provider is the fact that he is dependent on a third party to run the architecture for his system, and so he doesn't have full agency, and he is quite dependent on them. The next question is, reflect upon the use of DevOps, cloud computing, and serverless computing. Include a brief explanation of any relevant cloud concepts. So I will show you the organization again. For DevOps, first and foremost focuses on agile software development. This means that you continuously update, continuously test, continuously deploy your system. This is also called CI/CD. Just so I can show you an example. Here you have our commit history, and as you can see, we're working on a branch when we made the features, but when we were to merge our brand and push it into the master branch, we needed to do some testing, unit testing, and before it was allowed to push, and we also needed to approve it. This makes sure that the code was tested before we deployed our test. We also call this CDCI, continuously development, continuous integration. The cloud provider also had automated test, which made sure the software was tested before it was deployed. So these are a very important tool for cloud computing and DevOps. We also use the DevOps to keep track of our sprint, our workflow. As you have seen here, we have 4 different sprints. Each sprint was roughly 3 to 4 days, and we had the board to show the status of the sprint. And when it comes to cloud serverless computing, the main thing is that the cloud provider or the web service that you are using handles some of your functionality of your architecture for your software, and there are varying degrees to which a cloud provider or web service can handle this. For example, if the cloud provider handles everything, it's called software as a service. In our case, we have Azure function. that means that will be a function as a service. The next question is identify specific learning outcomes for future projects where cloud architecture is relevant. Cloud architecture is relevant if you have a large scaling project that will be too difficult for you to handle or manage locally or by yourself. If you have some advanced features and resources for your system that you want a cloud provider to potentially help you with. So in that case, it could be good. Organizations like this is also very good for your workflow, since it has everything a developer needs to optimize his workflow. You have the repositories, you have testing plans, you have the boards to keep track of sprints, you have an overview, and you can actually also make analytics and charts here to show a complete overview on how your project is going, and you have the different attached members. Cloud computing is good for startups or when you're creating software from scratch, or software as a product. It pushes the idea of working as a real software development team. The next question is reflect upon your own contribution as well as the general outcome. My contribution specifically was to set up Azure functions, create the REST API using Azure functions, and make the React application working with the React application as well. And my group members handle the backend, the database, the queries, the setup, the tenant, and automated testing and deployment, CI and CD/CI. We all wrote the report, so that was the general outcome. Describe how cloud tools of how your cloud tools of choice have aided you in developing the project. DevOps has helped us working agile. It helped us establish a backend and serverless architecture, manage your database and security stuff that will be quite extensive if we were to do it by ourselves. And it also helped us working like a real software development team in this case.